My narcissist golden child sister got impregnated by my boyfriend and years later has come crawling back after he turned abusive towards her, so I made sure she paid for all those years of abuse. My sister Christy was my parents' golden child and I grew up hating her for it. We were raised in the same house by the same parents, but treated completely differently. Christy went to private school, was chauffeured around by our stay-at-home mother, and was given a hefty allowance of $125 a week. I went to public school, rode the public bus and walked everywhere, and never had an allowance. No extended family would say anything beyond claiming my parents and sister loved me, that I have to understand that it wasn't their place, and that maybe things would be better if I tried harder to please. I hated my extended family just as much as I hated my parents. Christy mocked me relentlessly growing up. She was the pretty one and the smart one. If I got upset by her mocking, I was told I'm being sensitive and that it was sibling love. If I said hurtful things right back, I was grounded because I took it too far. I wasn't allowed to outshine her, I wasn't allowed to have friends. My clothing was policed by her and the few nice clothing aunts and uncles would get me would be replaced with frumpy and unattractive clothing. It would end up in her wardrobe. My parents would back up Christy saying I couldn't pull it off and that it looks inappropriate when I wore it. The rest of the family, the people who gave me the clothes included, would compliment how good she looked and pretty much validate Christy. I know for a fact that I am and have always been attractive. Even in those ugly outfits, I managed to get asked out on multiple dates and got a boyfriend sophomore year. Said boyfriend knocked up Christy our senior year after cheating on me with her since I got my early admission letter and was neglecting him and the family. She told me the day before my graduation, claiming he was going to marry her and they were in love, and it grew from me abandoning them both. Our mother was there and because I didn't really react, she thought I was being a good sister and said she was so proud of me. I didn't cry about it. I just packed up my car when everyone was asleep, skipped my graduation and the supposed party that was planned, and I left. My only stop was to the police station where I gave them my info, told them that if I'm reported missing that I'm not, and bluntly said I'm running from an abusive family, was going away to college, and never coming back. Got rid of my phone and everything. Went to school, got a good job, bought the condo I was renting, had my dream wedding. The thing is, Christy got in contact with me via Facebook recently. Her DMs consisted of her saying I abandoned her when she needed me most, that she's practically a single mom, her husband, my ex, hates her and got with a woman that looks like me, our parents blame her for me leaving and won't help her, and the entire family treats her kid like crap for being the product of an affair. She didn't get into any of the colleges she applied to, couldn't go to college as a full-time mother. She switched between blaming me for her misfortune and throwing a pity party. While reading, I didn't feel much of anything reading how awful her life turned out. I think I truly just stopped caring, and so even karma beating her down didn't give me any joy. Then she both and tagged me in a post that read, I feel like I'm drowning and I just need my sister. Why won't you respond? Why did you leave me when I needed you the most? Please, I'm in such a bad place, if you don't help I'll just end it all. I replied via comment and DM, go ahead and do it. I'm not helping you and frankly don't care. You stopped being my sister the day you gave me bleach as a gift, and blocked her shortly after. The logical part of me is telling me that was wrong, but I just can't bring myself to care enough to feel guilty. If something happens to her, I still don't think I'll care. But I do feel somewhat bad that I don't care. Am I obliged to care? My narcissist golden child sister got impregnated by my boyfriend and years later has come crawling back after he turned abusive towards her, so I made sure she paid for all those years of abuse. Part 2. My mother, who'll be called Emma, was able to get in contact with my brother Cam not long after Christy's post was deleted. He did talk to her and shared that I was married, had a good job, so on. He essentially was rubbing in her face that I was living an amazing life and didn't need them. He admits that he saw red when she didn't believe this because I never posted about any of that stuff on Facebook. He sent her pictures of my wedding, specifically pictures that showed how extravagant and intimate it had been. We only had 32 guests, and because of mother-in-law's and father-in-law's contributions, we were able to have our dream wedding at a beautiful venue. Cam also listed all of my other achievements, talked about how I finally had parents that loved me and treated me properly. I can't even be mad at him, even though he thinks I should be, because Emma figured out where I was based on his bragging about having mended his relationship with me and me staying with him. Based on that, he thinks that's how she figured out where to start looking. Plus, our shared and individual friends and my in-laws are far more active online than I am, and not all of them have their accounts private. Cam follows them and they follow him, so he feels like he's to blame. She doesn't know where I live, but she was at a cafe I normally go to with my mother-in-law. I was with my mother-in-law and, well, Cam wasn't exaggerating about me having parents that now love me. When I first met my husband Derek, I had a hard time opening up to him, and we both agreed to start as friends and see where things went when I was comfortable with the idea of any kind of intimate relationship. His parents were so kind to me, and when we started dating, I had difficulty with them. It was my father-in-law who sat me down one night after dinner and told me that their son loves me and they can see why, so I should love myself and allow myself to be loved too. By that point I had spent 3 months observing how they treated Derek and his older brothers, how close Derek was with his parents and brothers, and how healthy their relationships were. I blubbered and can admit I fixated on him ruining my makeup. It was my obsessing with my appearance instead of dealing with internal crap phase, and father-in-law just hugged me and said I was adorable but shouldn't ignore my feelings like that because it would just fester. He's amazing and I love him so much. Anyways, mother-in-law and I came to the cafe together, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really recognize my mother until I heard her speak. Her voice is the same voice that used to insult me and yell at me, no different after so many years. I realized who she was when she called my name and I just turned around and left. I didn't realize my mother-in-law wasn't following me until I was back in my car and about to start it. I got back out and went to go get her. I felt horrible for just leaving her behind like that. Mother-in-law seemed calm when I got back, but Emma was not. She was mid-sentence and what I heard was, "Your daughter, who do you think you are?" She shoved my mother-in-law and mother-in-law said, "The one that loves her the way a mom should. Who do you think you are?" And then mother-in-law wasn't so calm because Emma said that lying Re's real mother. That was all it took for her to jump on Emma. She got in multiple socks before I got her off and cops showed up not long. I guess the cafe workers or customers called before things escalated. Either way, she was arrested and mother-in-law was bailed out ASAP. She told me it was worth it the moment we were in the car, and I just started laughing and crying when she ranted about how angry Emma made her, thinking she could call my daughter anything degrading and get away with it. She said she was so happy I ran away and found them because she couldn't believe anyone could insult me like that when she knows what type of person I am and probably have always been. You just weren't allowed to be that person. I should have hit her harder. Is it awful that I feel so good about this? It's like my child self is getting her wishes, however delayed the granting is, and I'm just so happy someone loves me enough to be angry for me. Growing up, my parents never defended me from anyone. Most of the time, they'd openly agree with any insult directed at me even when I was right there. As far as Christy goes, at the time I didn't know Cam and Derek were both getting messages too. Derek's response was to send everyone a comprehensive list of everything I had ever vented to him about. He ended each list with a question: "Why should my wife feel any shame for responding that way to one of her abusers?" No one responded to him, and unlike me, he never blocked anyone. Cam's response was to shame them and reveal that Christy has always implied unaliving herself to get her way just like her mother. He shared old texts between him and our parents and some between him and Christy as proof. Yes, she has always done that and so has our mother, but I didn't know they did that to him too. No one responded to him either. I don't know if there was an actual wellness check. Cam has blocked everyone, including both sets of grandparents, so I guess I have another partner in my no-contact boat.